Hi guys, it's Renee with Raw Branded, and today we're going to talk about how to create your YouTube channel art using tools like Photoshop, Pixlr, or Photopea. Now, I listed all of those different softwares because they're very similar, okay? Okay, let me back up the truck here. Photoshop is a very sophisticated tool, okay? I love Photoshop. I love using it. As a creative, I can explore it, I can play, I can draw. It's a way for me to really be creative. If you have not used Photoshop, I do highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to just look at it. I know that it scares a lot of people. In my profession, I work with many people who are coming in green, haven't used a tool like Photoshop, and have freaked out, okay? But there isn't any need to freak out because, you know, there's ways in which you can create your artwork using other free software that's similar to Photoshop, but I will walk you through it. And it is very similar to Photoshop that by the end of this, you'll understand and begin to wrap your head around how to play around with tools like Photoshop or Photoshop itself. So hold your breath. So do not panic, okay? I know I've held many of people's hands through this process, and I know and I'm very familiar with the freak out factor. But once you do it, I promise you will want to join the club, or at least take a little dive and want to play around with this even further. So come on, let's dive into this further.
So what you're going to do is open up Photoshop, and your instance of Photoshop should look something like this. I have the version from Creative Cloud, so that's what you're seeing there. And, you know, I'm not going to go too in-depth into using Photoshop. What I want to do is just take you through creating your channel art so you can get it done, and get a little familiar with Photoshop, but that's not the purpose of this tutorial right now. So what we're going to do is go to File. We're going to go New. And what we want to do is we want to create a canvas that's the size of our overall YouTube channel, right? And you'll see what I'm talking about when I pull in the channel art guide and explain that a little bit. So what you want is the width to be 2560 and the height to be 1440. So you can go ahead, do that, change the width, height, and click on create. You can leave everything else, you know. Don't worry too much about the background color because what we're going to do is decorate the background, so it'll cover up the color, so don't worry about that too much. And you can hit create. So what will happen is you have this canvas that is the size of a YouTube channel. Now, what you can do, and I really recommend this, is to click on the link below, because what I've provided is a YouTube channel art guide for you so that you can use that and see what the layout of your channel would be like on desktop, on mobile, on a tablet. So you know what? Click on that link, download that channel art guide, and what you're going to do is go to Layer, New, add a new layer, because what I want to do is just separate the background from what we're doing right now. And you can see, come over here to the right, now you had your background, you have this new layer. Now these icons right here turn off the layer on and off. So I can turn off the background, and what you'll have is that checkered grid, which makes your background transparent. So this is if you don't want to fill your background, but you want to style it in some way, you would do this and then design in this way. And you'll see what I mean in just 1 second. So go ahead, you have this layer. So what I'm going to do is go to my desktop, and on my desktop I have my image saved. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that in. You can see some of the images that I'm going to use for this also saved together, but let's ignore those for now. We're going to go to our channel art wherever it's saved on your computer. Plop that, click and drag, boom. Drag that right there into your canvas, and you can see that right off the jump, and just double click so it sets itself. You saw that X, double click to set it. You can see that now it's part of that layer that we had right there, right? Now the whole point of this, like I said before, is for you to see the layout of your YouTube channel. And you can see this is a TV size, what it would look like if you viewed your channel on TV. This is what it will look like on all devices. A little further out, you'd see that's what it looks like on a tablet, and this is what it looks like on your desktop. So that's what you're seeing there. And in the view of all devices, that's where you want to concentrate most of your design work, because at least you know right there in that central area, that's where you'll be able to see all of your artwork. regardless of if you're looking at it on a tablet or on desktop. So that's what we're gonna do when we design. We're gonna focus on that central area, and then you know what, we'll decorate everything else outside of that. Click on that layer where you have your YouTube channel art guide, and you wanna dial down the opacity so you can see more of the canvas poking through. So 70% is good because that allows you to see the guide, but you can also play. It's not getting in the way. At this point, what you want to do is start adding your elements. Incorporate some of your art. So one of the things I do recommend is that you incorporate a picture of yourself. So let's say this was you, a picture of you. Drag and drop that there into your canvas. And you can see that Photoshop added it as a layer. Now what I'm going to do is size that image of hypothetical me and I'm going to put it right there in that central location, right? So I just want to make sure I'm not skewing it too much at all. I don't want to skew the image. So I'm just adjusting that and double click to set it. So that's the image of me, hypothetical me. But let's say that, oh, you know what, I want to incorporate some sort of message, which I highly recommend that you do. You explain your channel. So right now, what we want to do is add some text. So we're going to do a new layer, new, and that was right here at the top. Okay, now we have a new layer. Click on text. You can see once I clicked on text, I have all these options at the top. I just adjust the font right there at the top, and I can make it bold or regular. You know, I can italicize it. You can make it larger or smaller. And we can adjust that later. Right now, we just want to focus on what we're saying. So, okay, so maybe you want to say something like, where fashion is fun. Maybe that's the point of your channel, right? And that might be too large in size, so we'll just reduce that and make it a little smaller font. This you'll have to play around with and just get a feel of how big, how small you want your font size to be. And you know what? If you go off to the left and click this icon right there, you'll get your arrow where you can adjust where you want to place your wording. We may want to put it here and just say, you know what, where fashion is fun. That's what our channel is about, right? We'll align it there. Maybe what we want is to create a square or fill this area. So what we can do is create a shape using the rectangle tool. We'll create a rectangle. We'll just click and hold and drag, okay? And right now it's white, but maybe I want to change the color, so I'll go down to the left, select the color option right here, the color picker. If you know the hex code of the color, you can input it right here, or you can go ahead and slide and try to find a color that works for you. I do recommend for branding purposes that you have your hex colors. You know what the color of your designs, what's in your palette for your branding. Just for this example, that this color blue was part of our palette. So then we would go ahead, select that blue, hit OK. You can see that it changed that foreground color. Click on the bucket tool, because if I click on this bucket, basically what I'm doing is splashing paint on that layer. And I don't want to splash it on where my text is. I don't want to splash it where my image is. So I want to hit it right here where the rectangle is. So take the bucket, click, boom, that's now filled. Now you may be wondering what happened to everything else. Well, click on your pointer icon here, go back over to your layers, and you can see that your rectangle is living on top of everything else. So the whole name of the game with Photoshop is layers. Everything you're working in is like layering things on top of the other. So you want to drag that square below the layer of everything else. Do you see how I just dragged it down? So now it's in the background. So it's in the background, your image is on top. You can adjust this if you wanted to resize it. How do you do that? Click on your image, go to edit, transform, scale, and then you can drag and adjust however you want. I may want a little bit of blue to peek out around the border of this image. So I'll go ahead, do that, double click, boom, your image is set. Now, we've told everyone this is where fashion is fun. We've included a photo of ourselves. You know what, let's say that, you know what, I wanted that background not to be this really nice blue, but I wanted it the color of my hypothetical color of my hair. I can go back to my layer, make sure that I'm on the right layer right here. Let's scroll up, make sure we're on the rectangle layer. Click on this little eyedropper tool and literally do as it's showing you. And what I want to do is select any part of this hair color. So let me say I want that one. Right? You can see right there off the bat the color change. So in my foreground now, I have that color of her hair. If that's not the quite right shade of red, I can move around her hair and try to find it. And I recommend that you zoom in, Control+, and then really analyze what is the color of red that you want. So now we have that in the foreground. What you want to do is go back over to your bucket, click on that icon, you have the right color, you're on the right layer, and then just click. Boom. We've now dumped that color over onto that square. So now your rectangle has changed colors from that blue to that lovely shade of red. Turn off the layer with your YouTube channel art guide. Boom. And right there you can see that this is what it looks like so far, right? This is what your channel looks like. You just got that central area where fashion is fun, and you've got yourself, the hair color, your signature color, let's say it's that red. That's what you've got. Now we're gonna turn back on the channel art. I'm gonna move that channel art below my rectangle just so I can just have that. Boom, there you go. So the rectangle is a little bit more visible and the channel art is falling within the background. So then we want to say, you know what, I want to do a little bit more with this. I want to maybe have a little bit of a little design element over here. So you know what, I can incorporate another image, drag and drop. At this point you are basically playing, right? So you are playing around with style. What is your branding? What is the brand essence? What is the mood, the feeling that you want to convey? What is it that you're trying to showcase, right? So I might say, you know what, this is my channel where fashion is fun. I want it to look very fashion-y and edgy. I want to incorporate this, image. You can go ahead and do that. And basically now you have this design. So it's really up to you. You would then, I recommend, change the font so people can now read what this is about. I can see this is what I'm working with so far. The other thing I recommend that you do on your channel, in your channel art, is somehow, indicate to people how often you're uploading. If you have a set schedule, and bless you if you do, do incorporate that into your design. We're gonna do layer, new, boom. We're gonna select on our text, which should be now this color, right? We say, okay, we want that color. Maybe in a smaller size font, so it doesn't take away from our main message. We're going to say new videos every Wednesday. Take your picker, and then you would just adjust this. Okay, so what I went ahead and did was I created a square and I put it in the back of the text. And the way I sent it to the back of the text is by using the layers tool. And I made sure that the rectangle behind this text is below the actual text. So if you were to turn off your channel art guide, this is what we have so far, right? So we can leave it as that, or we can continue designing. And we may say, you know what? We want to make it so that when you're looking at this through a tablet or on desktop, there's more to the eye. So what we can do is, you know what? I may want to incorporate another image. So use this fashion-y image. I may want this fashion-y image. I can go ahead, click it, drag it, adjust it to my canvas, double click to set, and you know what, because it's on top of everything, we're going to bring that down, bring her down, and now it's in the background, right? And so we can totally turn off our channel art guide because we really don't need it at this point. But if you wanted to see what it looked like, I can go ahead, maybe drag my channel art to the top for now, just so you can see what that looks like. Dial up the opacity of the channel art just so you can see this is your template, and as you dial it down you can see all of the elements peeking through. So on a tablet you're gonna get a little bit of these little design elements peeking through. On desktop you're gonna see some makeup, maybe a little hint of a shoe, and then looking at it on TV you're gonna see the full fashion-y image, right? So this is just one idea. It's not your almighty idea depending on your channel. What we've done is we've made sure that the brand essence, the feel of your channel, really mirrors what your channel is about, right? So if this is a fashion channel, you are a designer, now you have all these fashion-y elements. So, you're really highlighting the things that you do, right? You're featuring yourself maybe in your design. That's something. You have your message where you're saying that this is the home, this is the channel where fashion is fun, and this is you. Look at you looking very playful and fun. And then you're setting the expectation that new videos will be posted every Wednesday, and it's right there in your design. So you can go ahead and file, save as. If you had a transparent background, I would say save it as a PNG. But because the background is already filled with design, it doesn't matter if you save it as a PNG or a JPEG. So then what you want to do is hightail it back over to your YouTube channel and click on this little photo icon right there at the top of your channel, this little camera icon, and you'll see the option to select a photo from your computer. So go ahead and do that. Find your image that you used, go ahead and click on your image, open it. And you can see as it's uploading down the bottom, it already states the recommended channel art size is 2560 by 1440. What you get is a preview of what your channel art will look like across all these different devices. On desktop, as I mentioned before, this is the view on desktop. And we know this because we use the channel art guide and we know this is what our desktop view is. On TV, as I mentioned before, this is the full view of what our channel will look like. And then on mobile, this is what our channel will look like, right? That area, that inner square that we said is good for all devices. So you can adjust the crop by looking at the bottom. It pretty much fits perfectly. If it's good for you, then you would just select it and your channel art would be updated. And that's it. Boom. Just like that, you have a channel art that looks and feels like your brand.
Once you get those basic concepts together, that there are layers to it, you're really working off of a canvas. If you're a creative, once again, I'm saying this to my creative folks out there, then it's really like art class, right? If you've taken an art class, if you're not self-taught, or just you've done this yourself, we're working off of a canvas here, and we have our tools, we have our brushes, we have our different tools that we're playing with, and then there are different layers. And think of it like you're painting, right? You're putting layer on top of layer on top of layer, and it's just the same kind of concept, only digital, right? And yes, it can get really techy, and yes, you can get really fancy with this, but you don't have to go down that route. You can start off small and get really familiar with these types of software like we're doing now, creating the artwork, and then start playing with it a little bit and seeing, oh, what will it do here if I do this, or what will it do here if I do that. There's a lot of happy accidents that have happened to me playing with Photoshop and tools that are like it. That's when you open Pandora's box, and then next thing you know, you're doing projects over here that you weren't originally working on. But that's a beautiful thing because you're learning by doing. So hopefully this was helpful for you, and it was a 1-2 punch learning this software, learning how to use these type of sophisticated these kind of tools that are a step up from something like paint, tools like that, and also having you really refine your channel artwork. If you liked this video and it was helpful, do hit the like button below, and don't forget to subscribe. I want you to come back here. This is one video of a series, so if you missed it, click on the other videos within the series on how to brand your YouTube channel. And if you're completely new to branding, you're coming in green and you have no idea what you're doing for your brand, don't forget to join my masterclass. Click on the link below, join the Raw Branded Masterclass, and I will walk you through how to build a memorable and profitable brand. So join that masterclass. I hope this video was helpful once again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.